The Eucharistic Miracle of Lanciano is one of the oldest and most widely cited miracles within Christian history, believed to have occurred in the 8th century in the town of Lanciano, Italy. At its core, the event centers around a monk who was reportedly struggling with doubts about the doctrine of transubstantiation, the belief that during the Eucharist, bread and wine become the actual body and blood of Christ. According to historical accounts, during the celebration of Mass, the monk witnessed the bread transform into physical flesh and the wine into blood. This transformation was said to have occurred visibly in front of those present. Over time, the relics were preserved and became the subject of both religious veneration and scientific inquiry. What makes the Lanciano miracle particularly compelling is that it has been examined in modern times using scientific methods. Analyses conducted in the 20th century concluded that the flesh resembles human cardiac tissue, while the blood was identified as human blood. Notably, no preservatives were found, despite the relics being over 1,000 years old. The event remains a focal point of discussion between believers and skeptics. For some, it serves as evidence of divine intervention and reinforces faith. For others, it raises questions about historical documentation, scientific interpretation, and the limits of human understanding. Regardless of interpretation, the Eucharistic Miracle of Lanciano continues to be one of the most intriguing intersections of faith, science, and mystery. This isn't just a story about religion. It's about doubt. It's about proof. And it's about a moment when belief collided with reality in the most disturbing way possible. Because the man at the center of this event wasn't a believer. The town was Lanciano, Italy. A quiet place. Stone streets. Flickering candles. A monastery where monks lived simple, disciplined lives. Among them was a priest, a man trained in theology, but quietly struggling with something dangerous. Doubt. He questioned whether the Eucharist, the bread and wine used in communion, truly became the body and blood of Christ, or if it was just symbolic. And one day, during Mass, his doubt would be answered. Imagine standing at the altar, speaking sacred words, while internally questioning everything. Every time he raised the host, he wondered, what if this isn't real? That quiet skepticism grew louder, until one morning, it reached its breaking point. It was during the consecration, the moment in the Mass where the bread and wine are believed to transform. The priest lifted the host, spoke the words, and then something changed. The texture, the weight, the appearance. What he held in his hands was no longer bread. It had turned into flesh, real flesh, and the wine had coagulated into what appeared to be blood. The priest froze. The congregation stared. No one spoke, because what they were witnessing should not have been possible. At first, people thought it was hysteria or illusion, but the substance remained. It didn't decay. It didn't dissipate. Centuries later, scientists were allowed to examine it, and what they found made the story even more unsettling. The flesh was identified as human heart tissue, specifically myocardium. The blood, human blood, type AB, a rare type, also found in other claimed relics. But here's where it gets even stranger. The samples showed no preservatives, no signs of artificial interference, and despite being over 1,000 years old, they showed properties of fresh tissue, as if time had stopped, or never applied at all. Today, the relic still exists, displayed in Lanciano. People travel from around the world to see it. Some leave convinced, others leave disturbed, because whether you believe it or not, one question remains. How could this happen? Was it divine intervention, an unexplained natural phenomenon, or something we simply don't understand yet. Because sometimes, the line between faith and reality is thinner than we think. The Eucharistic Miracle of Lanciano tells the story of a priest who doubted a central teaching of his faith, that communion bread and wine become the body and blood of Christ. During a Mass in 8th century Italy, that doubt was challenged when the bread reportedly transformed into real human flesh and the wine into blood. What followed was centuries of preservation, investigation, and debate. Scientific examinations conducted much later revealed that the flesh appeared to be human heart tissue, and the blood was identified as human, with no clear explanation for how it could remain preserved for so long without decay or chemical treatment. This event stands at the crossroads of belief and skepticism. For believers, it reinforces the reality of divine power and validates spiritual doctrine. For skeptics, it raises questions about historical accuracy, scientific testing, and interpretation. The story's enduring power lies not just in the miracle itself, but in what it represents, the human struggle between doubt and faith. It highlights a moment where something seemingly impossible forced witnesses and later observers to confront questions that remain unanswered. Whether seen as a miracle or mystery, the story of Lanciano continues to captivate audiences, making it a powerful narrative for exploration in modern media.